You are now tuned into Flipping the Birds, a Philly Sports Network podcast.
What's going on, Eagles fans? Welcome one, welcome all to another episode of Flipping the Birds.
Touchdown! AJ Brown! That's beautiful. And intercepted by the Eagles. He is hit. He's got him again! They've got him back at the 26. He's into the end zone. Touchdown, Eagles!
What's going on, Eagles fans? Welcome one, welcome all to another episode of Flipping the Birds. I'm Brian Cameron, alongside Corey Nido, and it is day 2 of the NFL draft, and the fireworks have been going off. And we just so happen to go live as the Eagles are currently on the clock. So we'll have that reaction live. But in the meantime, there was a gentleman during the offseason that convinced me that Eli Stowers would be a great pick for the Eagles. And that gentleman just happens to be my co-host, Corey Nido. Before we get into that, shout out to David, who's I think he's on a plane right now. So have a safe flight. But what's your instant reaction for Eli Stowers?
Yeah, I like it. I mean, I was a little surprised that they didn't go offensive line, just like we were surprised last night when they got Makai Lemon. But the way the board was falling, it seemed like...
Real quick, sorry. So Eagles are taking tackle Markel Bell.
Okay, so there's the offensive line there. So, yeah, I mean, I thought the way the board was falling, we were talking about it in our group chat. We're saying, oh, go get Emmanuel McNeil-Warren. Go get EMW. You get the safety out of Toledo. You pair him with Drew Makuba. You get another need. But Howie Roseman, Sean Mannion, this offense, they are loading up the tools for Jalen Hurts. I mean, we talked about it last night on the pod. It's evident. I mean, they are going to give this quarterback as many weapons as possible to make it work and to thrive in a new look offense. And again, I said it last night. I don't necessarily agree that Jalen Hurts has to be in a prove-it year, but it certainly is in that realm where it's like, hey, do the Eagles want to commit to Jalen Hurts long-term for big money, or do they need to maybe look elsewhere? So you get Eli Stowers. He's a big target. A lot of people think he could be more of a just big size wide receiver, like a Michael Pittman type. The blocking, don't worry about the blocking. He's not going to block much at all. I mean, you can work on blocking, but the skills that this young man has, I mean, he was named the top tight end in college last year. So the Eagles have now drafted the nation's top wide receiver in Makai Lemon and the tight end in Eli Stowers. So pretty good company. I did tweet this out right after the Eli Stowers pick that he joins Tyler Warren, Trey McBride, Kyle Pitts as more of the recent John Mackey Award winners, which goes out to the best tight end in the country. So I think this is another good weapon. I thought he was the second best tight end behind Sadiq. And I like this pick a lot. I really do.
Eli Stowers, I love his ability, right? And can we enjoy a good pick? The Eagles made a solid pick in selecting Eli Stowers, and I feel like he has a lot of Dallas Goedert traits outside of the block. And we know Dallas Goedert is a tremendous blocker, although it's kind of declined over the last several years. But Stowers is good for this offense because he operates in open space. He has very quick feet, has that natural ability to be a receiving tight end. And I think this is great for Jalen. Like you mentioned, we have Makai Lemon. Makai Lemon is going to line up in the slot a lot this season, and he's nasty. I mean, I woke up this morning a little bit having mixed feelings about Lemon just because, 5'11", you kind of worry that this guy could get trucked at any point. But looking at his highlights, he's a monster physically. He doesn't stop running until he wants to, until they drive him to the ground. And Eli Stowers kind of fits that mold for me, where you have Smitty, you have Lemon, you have Wicks, you have Stowers, and you have Goddard still. Dallas Goedert is still a member of the Eagles. So this offense, despite the fact that we're possibly losing A.J. Brown, this offense can still be lethal as long as Jalen Hurts continues to progress in the right direction within this new scheme. to me, this is a home run move. I mean, you and David spoke highly about Stowers throughout the offseason when we were gearing up for the draft. And now that the Eagles made the move, I'm a little surprised that they went back to back on offensive moves, just because it seemed like this would have been the perfect round to draft a guy like EMW, to draft a safety, even Jalen. Did Jalen Kilgore get drafted or no?
Let me look here.
And just to answer Jay's question, they still have pick 68. They actually selected tackle Markel Bell. The kid is 6'9".
It looks like Kilgore is still available.
Okay, so hey, listen. I mean, they could still trade back, trade up again. It seems like Howie.
Yep,
The
he's
draft was kind of like F them picks. I just want my guys.
Yeah, and I think that's the draft where you want to kind of have that reaction, right? Like, this isn't a deep class. I mean, I know people were kind of complaining about the Mekhi Lemon pick this morning, and there's some people like, oh, they should have gotten a more physical, gifted wide receiver. But none of those guys were graded or rated as a number one or first round pick. Denzel Boston went early tonight. So why are you going to reach on a wide receiver? Mekhi Lemon was ranked to go anywhere as high as 13. I mean, nobody thought that Lemon was going to be even around for the Eagles to pick. You and I and David, we all kind of admitted, hey, we didn't even bother looking really much into him because we thought there was no chance that the Eagles would get him. So I do agree with you. I was surprised where they doubled down on the offense, but Howie Roseman, I think he realizes this is the last year with Dallas Goedert. They can't keep kicking this down the road. And this is a great move because you can have Stowers learn from Goddard, and you can incorporate Stowers as that tight end too. Mix him in. Again, he's a big-bodied guy. Put him out in the slot. Put him out wide if you need to. Mix and match what you can do with him. Vanderbilt did a really good job scheming him open. He had 62 catches, 770 yards receiving, and 4 touchdowns. And I know it's Skip Bayless, but Skip Bayless is not happy that the Eagles just picked his boy Eli Stowers. So you could, take that with what you want. I think you're muted.
I was saying that Skip is a Vanderbilt guy. He's always been a Vanderbilt guy, and he always, used to praise Jordan Matthews as well. But yeah, I mean, this is shaping up to be a very. Can we acknowledge the fact that in Howie's video of him making a call to Lemon, we'll talk about the Steelers situation in a second, but the nod to Sean Mannion, like, I got you, I got your guy, like I told you I got this, and like that acknowledgement, I feel like it speaks highly to what they're buying into this season, and it's it's gonna be I don't want to say the put up or shut up season for Jalen Hurts, but it's going to be a shut up season for Jalen Hurts because I think it's about time that people realize that he's not the problem that all these media analysts make him out to be.
No, I agree. And I believe it was Lincoln Riley was on The Fanatic, and they were talking about Jalen Hurts, and Riley obviously spent time with Jalen, and he said that this guy's on another level in terms of being focused. And we've seen what Jalen does when his back is up against the wall, right? I mean, people doubted him, takes him to the Super Bowl, arguably outplayed Patrick Mahomes in that one they lost. They have a bit of a down year, Super Bowl hangover. Doubted again. What's he do? He goes and, yeah, I mean, offensively, he wasn't the catalyst for that Super Bowl winning season, but he won the Super Bowl when Saquon Barkley was bottled up. And to me, I think that speaks volumes. I know there's a lot of Jalen haters out there. The guy can find ways to win. And he doesn't have to be a top 10 passing quarterback to be a good quarterback in this league. I just don't understand why we have to just always assume that because you're a top 3 guy in passing, it doesn't mean that you can't be good in other ways where you just find ways to win. You don't turn the ball over. You make the right play. So I like this move, as I mentioned, and then I like the mountain man that they just got in Markel Bell at pick number 68. The dude is 6'9", 346 pounds, Brian.
David just texted me saying offensive tackle solidified, and after he said monster. So this is huge if he's saying that, because he's huge on prospects. So I mean,
yeah, so on ESPN, the pre-draft analyst, this is by Scouts Incorporated, Bell is a huge left tackle, starting 21 games over the past 2 seasons at Miami. His length makes him hard to rush around, allowing him to direct rushers past the passer. When run blocking, he can lean on defenders, move them, and then wall off. Bell can run into issues overreaching on kick steps and pass pro, allowing for rushers to cut inside. He can also struggle to redirect laterally and needs better core strength. He was pushed around on film when rushers got into his chest. Though he has exceptional height, that can cause some problems for Bell when he climbs to the second level. But I mean, they can work with him as well. They're saying that post-draft, Bell's going to remind Eagles fans of former guard Mekhi Becton.
So the good thing about it. Oh, go ahead. No,
I said I would take a Mekhi Becton, and then if you want to go comps, for Stowers, I've seen Evan Ingram and I've seen Harold Fannin Jr. So
I still feel like Stowers gives me young Dallas Goedert vibes, just more elusive in the open field. I want to say, not as stiff. But Bell, the great thing about selecting Bell is he doesn't have to be the guy right now. He's not like Mekhi. He's not like Eli. Like, he doesn't have to be the guy right now. We still have Lane. We still have the core guys on the offensive line, right? And if he ends up being a guard, he ends up being a guard. But he could be the heir apparent to Lane. He could be a guy that steps up when Lane gets injured, if that's the case. And I don't know. This is probably one of the more sneaky good drafts of Howie Roseman. We were criticizing, we weren't criticizing. We were shocked last night when they selected Mekhi Lemon, because we were hell-bent on thinking that they were going to get an offensive lineman, but the guys went a little earlier than expected. But Howie's building I feel like in a different manner when it comes to the offense. Like, this is not the offense that we're used to. This isn't going to be a run-first offense, let's say that, right? Like, we got Lemon that could block. But it seems like, that idea of this offense is going to be yak. Yards after catch, like guys that can make plays after they get the ball in their hands. I'm looking forward to it. But one move that we cannot overlook that's been predicated for the longest time, the Eagles trading a 3rd and a 4th round pick for Jonathan Greenard and then extending him on a 4-year, $100 million contract, $50 million guaranteed. I love this move. But I feel like this move has so many layers to it. First and foremost, we're getting a veteran edge rusher, a guy that has a proven talent, lining him up, alongside Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, opposite of Jalix Hunt, Nolan Smith. We lost Jalen Phillips, but now it seems like we get this guy for the next 4 years, and it's going to be, a key ingredient that we don't have to worry about. But my other thought process is, who's the odd man out? Is it Nolan Smith, a former 1st-round pick, or is it Jalix Hunt? But before we get into that part, how do you feel about the Eagles moving for Jonathan Greenard? Or is it Greenard or Greenard?
Yeah, Greenard. Yeah, I like Greenard. I mean, we heard rumblings. Yesterday, somebody possibly leaked it out on a podcast. We saw that the rumor mill was swirling months ago that this could have been a possibility. We thought maybe it was going to happen before the draft. It did not. And then the Eagles make the deal, as you mentioned, for a 3rd round this year. It was the 98th pick, if I'm not mistaken, which was a comp pick for when Milton Williams signed with the Patriots. So just tip of the cap to Howie Roseman again, who understands the comp pick formula better than probably anybody in the NFL. And he just continues to turn those picks into legitimate players for the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles also did pick up a 7th round pick as well. So that's kind of the trade-off there. But yeah, I mean, Greenard's 28 years old. He was looking for a new contract. $50 million fully guaranteed, worked by Drew Rosenhaus. So he comes in with a heavy hitter agent. The Eagles, as you mentioned, let Jalen Phillips go in free agency. I like this move, obviously. He's good with the pass rush, and I think David explains it really well. Like, yeah, sacks are great, but the pass rush numbers are more important than sacks themselves, because sacks can kind of be lucky. It can be dependent on who the quarterback is. So, if you look at his numbers last year, well, you might say, oh, well, he only did X, Y, and Z. He was injured last year, dealt with the shoulder injury, but, he has been really solid. 12 games last year, 3 sacks, had 12 in his Vikings debut back in 2024 after he signed a deal out of free agency after 4 seasons with Houston when they drafted him out of Florida in the 3rd round back in 2020. So you solidify your pass rush or edge rush. You mentioned who might draw the short straw. That'll be interesting to see. I'm trying to pull up the depth chart here to just make sure I've got the names correct of what we're looking at. But, you mentioned Jalix Hunt, Nolan Smith. Those are the 3 guys. They got Greenard already slotted ahead of Jalix Hunt on the ESPN depth chart. Obviously, that doesn't mean anything, but that's where they put him. Again, you can never have too many edge rushers. So I'm not that worried about it. You float in Jalix Hunt, you float in Nolan Smith, you figure it out, but you get another legitimate pass rusher on this defense for a defense that struggled to get to the quarterback last year prior to the addition of Jalen Phillips.
Now, after the Eagles, so the Eagles we're 3 rounds in, right? The Eagles have added four players to this team, 3 on offense, 1 on defense. They have no 4th round pick. They have a 5th round pick, a 6th, and a 7th. So only 3 more picks remaining. Going into day 3 now, we know safety is a need, but outside of that, like, who do you feel like needs to be on the Eagles' radar going into day 3? And do you think they add more selection and possibly jump into the 4th round for a guy? I think, did we mention Jermont McCoy is still available, or was he taken?
Let me see. I'm going through here to refresh. Carson Beck went to the Cardinals. So any thought process of Tanner McKee going to the Cardinals probably just ended there. No, McCoy is still available. Okay, Romello Height, an edge rusher from Texas Tech, who the Eagles apparently were linked to earlier today. He was just selected by San Francisco.
Okay.
So I don't know if Howie will move back into this draft. Again, it's not a super deep class. I think they could get one of those safeties, as I mentioned. And what do they have? A 5th round pick coming up, right? Where are we here? I'm losing my my tabs. The Eagles are they have pick 178 in the 5th round. So that's near the end.
Then pick 197 and pick 244.
Right. So if you're looking at some of the safeties here, you still got AJ Halsey out of LSU, Kilgore, Zakee Wheatley out of Penn State. Those are your top 4 safeties where, you could probably get some good value out of one of them. And they have Marcus Epps. And listen, I know Marcus Epps isn't a sexy player. He's not, splashy, but he held his own last year. He did. Solid. He was solid. He's not a ball hawk. But more times than not, at least from what I recall, he really didn't get beat that badly. And he filled in pretty nicely when Makuba went down.
And I think that's where my I don't want to say my beef, right? But because a lot of people are every single pick that the Eagles have made so far, it's been followed with a little celebration and complaint. Celebration and complaint. Celebration and complaint. This team is not going to get fully rebuilt in one draft. Like, it's impossible. This is not going to happen. This isn't Madden. At the end of the day, how he's going to plug the holes that he needs to plug, whether it's a Band-Aid or whether it's a long-term solution, he's going to make something happen. And for all we know, if they don't come out this draft with a safety, they could trade for a guy that we're not expecting, a guy that they end up locking up. I 1,000% agree with you. I don't think Marcus Epps is the bum that people are making him out to be. He's a proven guy. He's a veteran. He knows what he's doing. He's familiar with the city. He's familiar with the scheme. He did pretty well. He shore up his tackles, in comparison to years past. Andrew Makuba, we all know he's a stud. Can't be 100%, great every single time, but nonetheless, the key thing was shoring up this pass rush because Jalen Phillips did make a big impact on this pass rush. He opened things up for guys like Jalix Hunt and Nolan Smith, even Jalen Carter. So now I'm excited to see what Greenard is going to bring to the table. I'm excited to see, we got Tariq Woolen on defense as well. Like this team is still pretty loaded. Jahad Campbell's going to be in a full starting role, and if they're missing one safety that in this draft, then they don't get them. It is what it is. Next year's a whole nother year. But I do like the fact that we're seeing the influx of youth being injected into the offense, and then the money's going to start flowing to the defense. So we're seeing a well-constructed roster going forward. And I mean, is it biased to say that Howie's the best GM in the NFL?
I mean, it's very rare to see the combo of Howie Roseman, Jeffrey Lurie, and how they just strive to be the best. I mean, I think it's very rare. I don't even know who else you could kind of put up next to them with how they've been able to handle the offseason and the draft and how they navigate it. Just a quick note, Markel Bell was a top 30 visit for the Eagles, so they were interested in the big fella out of Miami. Jalen Kilgore also had a reported top 30 visit. We did learn that Mekhi Lemon had one that was unreported. He unearthed that last night when he first talked to the media post-draft. So we'll see. There's some other guys that deny Dennis. Where is it here? I just lost his name. The guy from Penn State. Pardon me. Deny Dennis Sutton. They also had a top 30 visit with him. He's an edge rusher from Penn State. That Romello Height, as I mentioned, as of right now, he is still available. So Oscar Delp, a tight end that our other co-host David was high on. Yep, the Saints just got him. So and Sam Roush, another tight end, he went to Stanford to Chicago, or he went to Chicago. So they're looking to kind of go double tight end there with oh my God, who did they draft last year? And the rookie Colson Loveland. There we go. So yeah, I mean, I think you can only do so much in the draft. You don't want to reach, and I think Howie Roseman has done a really good job of not reaching. Now, last year's draft class underperformed. I think you still have to give them 2 more years before we can really kind of grade what that draft class will be. But there seemed to be some picks that a lot of people were very high on, like a Ty Robinson, and they just didn't hack it as a rookie. And that can happen. It can take time. So I'm not too worried about last year's draft class, but you look at the draft classes over the last few years, especially in the first 3 rounds for Howie Roseman. I mean, he is on a generational run right now. I mean, this dude is just not missing. Obviously, you got Jahad Campbell and Andrew Makuba, the first 2 round picks last year. They were starters. Ty Robinson was a 4th round pick. Didn't see a lot of time. Mac McWilliams essentially redshirted. Smile Mondon actually saw some time on special teams. So again, jury's still out. Of course, 2 years ago, Quinyon, Cooper, Jalix Hunt. I mean, that is a ridiculous first 3 rounds, the way that Jalix has emerged. 2023, Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith, Tyler Steen has been a solid player. Sidney Brown didn't work out. I actually thought Sidney was going to be a pretty solid player. Dude, they got Moro.
He was injuring his own guy.
They got Moro Ojomo in the 7th round in 2023.
That was a huge steal because
the 7th round.
I hope they find a way to lock him up a little long term because I don't know. There's still talent deep in this draft, right? But Ojomo, I feel like is one of those guys that's just like he might end up being better than Milton. So if they could lock him up a little earlier than expected, that would be huge. But I agree. Ojomo was a huge steal.
The Giants just took Malachi Fields, the big-bodied wide receiver out of Notre Dame.
They've had a pretty good draft, and
I was just going to say, I do think they've had a pretty solid draft. Although I know there's a lot of fans that were not happy that they bypassed the safety from Penn State. They were not thrilled with that. But yeah, I agree. I think they've been having a pretty good draft. Where they go,
the Cowboys,
the offensive tackle at 10, and then Arvell Reese, the linebacker, at 5.
Cowboys taking Caleb Downs as well. They had a pretty solid draft. I haven't paid much to what the Commanders have done.
Commanders got Sonny Styles, the good linebacker out of Ohio State. in the first round. That was their only pick. And then what do they do tonight? Washington.
Have they made a selection tonight?
No, they have not. They did not have a second round pick. And let's see where they are in the third. They took Antonio Williams, wide receiver out of Clemson.
Oh, okay.
And
it's going to be
that's their only pick in this round.
It's going to be a good competitive year for the NFC East, but I'm stoked to see what the Eagles are going to put on the field. I'm stoked to see Mannion's offense. We still have 3 picks to go, one full day to go.
How about a Sean Mannion sighting in that video with the phone call to Lemon?
That's what I'm saying. The whole head nod with him and Howie, just like that agreement.
Yeah, I don't know. I was starting to think Mannion was kind of a fake guy, and all of a sudden they're just going to be like, oh no, here's Grizzard. So I'm kidding. Obviously, Mannion's a real person, but we haven't seen him. We haven't seen him anywhere.
Yeah,
it was like citing Bigfoot.
Well, hopefully Bigfoot could put something lethal on the field with his offense and make it go. Can't deal with a stale offense that we dealt with last year. But before we wrap up the show, final thoughts on day 2 of the NFL draft, because I highly doubt the Eagles are not trading back into the third. Final thoughts.
I like what Howie's doing. I think some people are a little dismayed in the Stowers pick because you did get a Mekhi Lemon, who's a slot wide receiver, and maybe Stowers is more of a big-bodied wide receiver, but you took who I thought was the second best tight end in this class. I think that he's got the size, he's got the skills, and I think that he's going to be a pretty solid weapon, and he's going to be most likely tight end 1 after the 2026 season. So, you get the offense, you get a big guy on the offensive line, you coach him up a bit. You still have some draft capital to go after some of those safeties, as we mentioned, and an edge rusher if you want. I trust Howie. That's the way I look at it. Is he's made a lot of strides since that Jalen Reagor debacle, and he's been doing really well. And I love his philosophy. John Clark had a good interview with him. Go and listen to it. Read up on some of the interviews with Howie in terms of his draft strategy. I mean, the guy is a wizard. I mean, he just looks at this so differently, I think, than almost any other general manager in the NFL. And it shows with the success he's had. He's not looking necessarily for plug-and-play guys this year because the Eagles are that deep and that talented. He's looking for, okay, when Landon Dickerson retires, when Lane Johnson retires, maybe as soon as next season after it's all said and done. Who do we have in the cupboards to be like, all right, come on down, you're the guy. I mean, that is how you continuously keep a Super Bowl winning window open, where it's not, hey, we've got 4 or 5 years and then it's slammed shut and now we got to completely start over. Howie Roseman is one of the best at I don't even want to say rebuilding, but retooling, if you will. Yeah,
he definitely does. He thinks at least 3 or 4 steps ahead, and that's what I love about him. I mean, we're talking about that 2026 NFL draft, and the guy's already thinking about 2028, and it shows, right? I mean, the Eagles' offense is getting younger. The defense is going to start collecting all the big contracts, and then for all you know, in 3 years, this is going to recycle all over again. But it's a huge weekend, huge moves. Mekhi Lemon, Eli Stowers, Jonathan Greenard, Markel Bell. You are all Philadelphia Eagles, and I'm excited to see you guys produce on the field. We will recap the entire NFL draft on Tuesday night. I can't catch myself to do another live stream, but we had to do it today because in a matter of 10 minutes, they drafted Eli Stowers and they traded for Jonathan Greenard and had this massive contract extension to follow it. But huge shout out to everybody listening right now. We appreciate you all. Be sure to follow our YouTube channel, Flipping the Birds. And we'll see you guys on Tuesday. Until then, I'm Brian Cameron alongside Corey Naito, and we're Flipping the Birds.
Have a good one.
Go Birds. Flip